Hello there, you guys, and welcome to Breakfast All Day. It's such a huge day. It's a huge day. I'm Christy. That's Matt. It's Alonso. We're talking about F9. Finally, F9 is here. If you've pondered going to a theater, perhaps F9 is the reason you will go. We're going to talk about it.
Don't watch this movie at home, kids. Go see it in the theater. So this is the 9th film with Fast and Furious, although there's 10 in the franchise and 11 if you buy Justin Lin saying that
Better Luck Tomorrow
is a prequel. This movie is bonkers. And I'm not going to apologize for the plane flying over because that is a sound effect from the film itself. Yes, we get airplanes. Yes, we get space. This movie is completely insane, and they've tilted into James Bond territory, and this is almost Moonraker. So we start out with, on the farm with Dom and Letty living a nice bucolic life. And a truck shows up and they pull out their guns, and oh no, it's some of the old gang. It's Tyrese and Ludacris and Natalie Emmanuel, and they've got some MacGuffin number one with a note from Kurt Russell, and they have to go and figure out what happened. And so they go to this jungle area where a plane has crashed, and we get the first big crazy chase scene. And they find out that, there's half of the big MacGuffin that then they have to track down. And as they're trying to make off with the half they got, lo and behold, Dom's long lost brother that nobody had ever talked about shows up. Now, we did get a little bit about the race that we see the end of Papa Toretto, which is not really a spoiler because Vin Diesel had talked about how Jack
back in the first movie, right?
Back in the first movie, right? So, we get to see those scenes, which actually are pretty solid. They work. I mean, for what they are. I would go into more detail about this, but I kind of want to let people just describe it because, more detail is just a litany, this long list of increasingly unlikely and insane yet awesome set pieces.
Describing the plot is like a 6-year-old telling you a story. It's like, and then.
For anyone that has had the joy of reading the Axe Cop comics, that's what this feels like. Right? Because Axe Cop is a comic written by a 6-year-old and drawn by a professional comic artist, and it was awesome. This movie is as absolutely as bonkers as you expect it to be, right? They've raised the stakes over the last few movies more and more. You get to they're, in 5, 5 really sets it off, right? Yeah. 5, they're driving around with a big safe. Okay. And then is it 6 they go up against the tank, or is that 7?
6 is when
the longest runway
comes out. It's a long runway. The tank comes out of the plane in 6, right?
No, I think
they drive a tank out of a plane. It's the plane one. It's the one where Gal Gadot dies.
That's 7 though.
No, 6 is what Gal Gadot.
6 is the thing with the plane.
Gal Gadot and Han once,
Right.
Right.
And then
Han is
7 is they go up against.
No, that is 7.
So then they have to go against, so they take out one super spy. They have to go against another super spy. They go up against, by 8, they're up against a submarine.
Right.
So where do you go from there? You go into space.
Exactly. I think all that's left at this point is time travel and literally going to hell. I think we raised that as a possibility.
Abandon all ideas of physics. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right? This has become, look, they've taken this franchise and they know they have to compete with superhero movies. And that's kind of what they're doing, right? Like Dom and everybody else, they're superhero drivers. The stuff that they could do in a car makes no sense. Everybody comes back. It's completely insane. Anyone who's ever showed up in this series comes back. There are some elements of this that I think were maybe distasteful, especially
What? What's distasteful?
One particular hinted appearance that I won't spoil. That bothered me. But
wait, can you be more specific?
I don't think it's a spoiler to get into this. And if you do think it's a spoiler, then stop watching now. But the fact that this franchise still treats Paul Walker's Brian character like he's alive.
Okay, yeah, that's weird. Because Mia comes back and Brian is quote unquote babysitting everyone's kids.
Yeah, it's weird really choice, and they keep doing it, and it's just like it just gets more. It gets more.
Yes.
Is that what we're discussing? Yeah, I don't think that's a spoiler because that's what these movies have been doing for several films now.
Because Jordana Brewster shows back up again.
Yes.
And so why is she was supposed to be getting out of the life to live a quiet life with Brian?
Right.
But she decided to come back.
They bring her because it's her brother too. And the thing is, like, you know, it's just the whole. In my review of TheWrap, I said this is like part superhero movie and part soap opera because like it's
always been a soap opera.
Yeah, but very much so now. It's like, oh, the brother that I've had all along and we've never ever talked about. It's like, you know, there's this whole like dick measuring contest between Dom and Sub, as I like to call him, but Dom and Jacob, who's played by John Cena. And it's like, what about Jacob's relationship with Mia? Do we care? Nope, movie doesn't care about that.
They're just there for tearful hugs.
To say about that.
No.
And I have to, as much as I enjoyed the silliness of this movie and just figured, all right, you guys are just having to constantly up the ante and keep bringing back all the characters so they can have their moment. Like, if you're going to spin all those plates, you're doing a fine job at that. The weak link here, oddly enough for me, is John Cena. Like,
very much so.
He's so fun in comedies, and he's terrible here as this, like, just as the bitterest of pills.
Well, what they're giving him and Vin Diesel to do together is just sort of like quietly simmer and stew at each other. And there's nothing written to him. There's nothing to his character besides like the bitterness he feels from childhood, which we see in the flashback in the beginning. So he doesn't get a whole lot to work with, but he also doesn't have the dramatic chops to elevate what he's given, right? No. And Vin Diesel has one note, as we know. I mean, Vin Diesel is allowed to emote more as Groot, as we know. But yeah, the two of them together, this is the reason I'm giving this movie the number that I'm going to eventually give it, because I really like these movies. And leading up to this, Nick and I did a whole rewatch. We watched all 8 of them in a week prior to this. And we had friends over. It was fun. And so we were both psyched about it. The craziness is fun. The increasing insanity and the lack of physics, that's fun. But when they try to have dramatic heft is when it really drags us down. This movie is 2.5 hours long, and Justin Lin, who did all the best of them, it's tough on the page when you're having to balance absolute heights of craziness with like what is in theory meaty, dramatic, quote unquote family moments. It's not up to it.
I agree. It would have been better off if like John Cena was just some dude, right? Like the whole brother thing is a little, it just bogs down the whole thing. But you know, it does help that we've got to know these characters and get a little bit invested in them, so that like the scene with Natalie Emmanuel driving the truck is inspired.
That's kind of funny,
because I thought that was great, because the last thing you're ever going to expect is, oh, wait a minute, one of them can't drive? What?
She's the hacker.
This universe? Yeah. I mean, let's not forget, this is a franchise that made Letty's amnesia work as a plot. You know, so it's like you could do Long Lost Brother we've never ever talked about, but you know, between how it's written and the fact that John Cena just isn't,
up to the task.
Yeah, making that pop, it kind of lies there. And so you just kind of figure within 2 movies, like, you know, Jason Statham, he's going to be on their side anyway, you know, so it's like, I guess we have to get to this part where they hate each other, you know.
I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about the return of a couple of different characters, one of whom is Mia, as we talked about a little bit ago. They don't give her a whole lot to do, but she is now like an ass-kicking badass. Like all of a sudden she learned how to fight while also raising her kids with Brian and having a quiet life. And then the return of Han, again, not a spoiler. Whole full page Sunday story that Jen Yamato wrote about the return of Han. It's not shocking. It didn't have the emotional kick that I was expecting. And part of that is I won't say what it is, but the way they explain his survival of the car blowing up.
It's very convoluted.
And Nick and I talked about it in the car on the way home. We're like, wait, how
What? And then if the
I mean, again, ignore physics. Like this is a different universe. Physics don't exist.
But again, though, like the beauty of these movies is that they're ludicrous, but they also like make an internal level of sense. Yeah, well, sorry,
they're ludicrous.
They star ludicrous and they are ludicrous. But like they like again, Letty's amnesia. They figured out a way to write that where it actually seemed like it wasn't just this stupid plot point, which it was. They don't quite give the same level of attention to writing Han's survival,
and they don't give him a lot to do now that he's back.
Also that, but but that's the thing. It's like every one of these movies racks up one or two new characters. And if you're going to have to bring them all back, if you have to have a moment for like, what's his face from Tokyo
it's
Drift
Avengers Endgame
to have him. Exactly.
Right. Sean is back from Tokyo
Drift. You've got
Drift.
all these beloved characters that have to have their moment in the spotlight. It's like going to a New Kids on the Block concert where all five of them have to sing lead at some point,
And Charlize Theron's back too. Charlize Theron is
and Helen Mirren, and
Notice though, it is interesting. Like all of these big stars. None of it, like at no point are they all on screen at the same time.
Oh, heavens no.
Right? Because that would be impossible to schedule.
Yeah. Also, why do they keep giving Charlize Theron the worst hair? She's stunningly beautiful. Give her her due.
Christy.
Oh my God. But like in 8, they gave her these like horrible little bleachy blonde dreads. Yeah. And now they've given her, it's like not even a bowl cut. It's like a Dumb and Dumber cut. And she's trapped in a glass prison for the vast majority of this movie in leather pants.
Okay, but her Star Wars stuff is really funny. Like the Star Wars metaphors she's using, I thought were funny.
I don't know.
Right. Also,
as you say, Alonso, they're trying to cram in so much and so many characters, but then also have the big set pieces. The whole thing with the magnets was fun. So it's fun here and there. But then there's other like connective tissue, but the connective tissue, it gets bogged down in.
I had more fun than I didn't, but I will say that this level of goofy has been pulled off better in previous Justin Lin installments.
I kind of thought they should have stopped at 7, I feel like. The whole ending with Paul Walker is so poignant. It's so emotional. And like 8's not as good. They should have just stopped at 7. But now there's going to be at least 10.
Yeah, I'm still glad I saw this. I'm glad they made it. Yeah. It's still fun. It's like getting from one set piece to another is a little tedious, but when it's on, this movie is exactly as bonkers as you want it to be. I mean, it's stupid with 8 O's. Yeah. Stupid.
Well, 9, I think it's earned at this point.
There's shawarma.
There is shawarma. Yeah. See it in IMAX because
Yeah.
What else is IMAX for if not something like this?
Right. And the banter between Ludacris and Tyrese is still really fun. Like, I love that friendship and how they give each other shit constantly, but they truly care about each other too. And they have a lot of nice chemistry. And
sure.
I wish that the rest of the dialogue had the lightness of that to propel it all forward.
Well, Vin Diesel is in this movie, Christy.
But the two of them with Natalie Emmanuel she's also brings something to that because she gets to play a little bit of the straight man that lets them both be dopes. I mean, it would be fun to have like the, detective crime fighting, cop show or like Rockford Files with the three of them. That would be fun. I would watch that.
Anyway, I am saying 6. I really wanted to love this.
I said 7.5. I had a good time. It's no Fast 5 or even 7, but it's better than 8, I think, in a lot of ways. I don't know, but it's a lot. But if you signed up for this, you'll get more of what you signed up for.
Right. I love a movie that has me multiple times going, what? And just laughing just at the
shamelessness of it all. Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. I give it an 8. Yeah.
Okay. Our number is 7.2. Apparently it made like $7 million last night in its opening night. So I think it's summer. People are feeling ready to go back. This is a great reason to go back.
Yeah.
So oh boy.
It's gonna have a big opening. Real fast. What's everyone's favorite movie in the series?
5.
5 is crazy.
I'm not
or
sure.
6. 5 or 6. Those are my two.
I'm not sure I have a favorite. I will always defend Tokyo Drift.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I don't know that it's my favorite in the series, but
It's interesting. Like there was the whole, we had to defend Tokyo Drift, and now suddenly everybody feels like they have to defend Too Fast, Too Furious. I'm like, no, that movie still sucks.
It's funny though.
Oh no, two is
it introduces the funniness of the series, right?
Right.
One is so serious.
What is your
four
favorite?
is the shitty one. 4 is the shitty one.
4 is the shitty one.
4 is the shitty one for sure.
6, I love 6 for the craziness, but I really like 7 for how they balance the emotion of Paul Walker's death and how they did so many workarounds to make that happen. Like I have great admiration for how they pulled off legitimate emotion in what is a crazy scenario.
But unfortunately, we're now stuck with this character being alive and then being very coy about dealing with it, and it just gets squickier with each movie now.
I feel like the last shot of 7, where you see the overhead shot of them like pulling away onto different off ramps, and he's in his white car going to heaven. Like they should have just said, "Okay, he's dead." They should have, they should have figured that out. I don't know.
Or like I don't know. There's a way to, again, you made us believe Letty's amnesia. You could make us believe that Brian is alive in a way that doesn't feel just very uncomfortable in these movies.
And wedged in. All right. Anyway, 7.2 is our number. If you're going to see an F9, you're going to see an F9. Let us know what you think of it.
Did you see that that somebody bought the Supra from the first movie at auction?
No.
The orange car that they work on. Just got sold for over $500,000.
Well, alrighty then. Thanks for watching, you guys. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, check us out on the social media at BeFastAllDay, and please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay, talking about Loki on Disney Plus, and this week doing our monthly off the menu item, which is a movie that we've never reviewed before on the show that our subscribers pick for us. We're talking about Monsoon, starring Henry Golding, and you got to be a subscriber to see it. So if you should maybe become one, patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Thanks for watching, you guys. Have a good week. We'll see you next time. Bye.